Hey, Thomas here. Are you suffering from tight hip flexors right now? Maybe you feel that you spend too much time seated throughout the day, and this is shortening your hip flexors, affecting your posture, causing pains, creating muscle imbalances that could lead to injury. Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you one simple test to see if you actually have these tight, short hip flexors. Then you're going to learn an awesome 30-second stretch that you can do in-home to open up these hip flexors and alleviate this muscle tightness. And then I'm going to leave you with some 5-minute follow-along routines that you can do to alleviate overall muscle tightness and target the full body all in home. All right, before we go into this stretch, I want to give you a simple test to see if you actually have tight, short hip flexors. A common issue is people will experience this tightness and they think they have short and tightened hip flexors when they actually are experiencing this tightness from long, weak hip flexors. So we want to test to make sure that we in fact have these tight hip flexors. This also connects to the anterior pelvic tilt video we shot a couple weeks ago. Many of the popular claims with anterior pelvic tilt say if you have APT, then you have tight hip flexors and you need to stretch to fix this imbalance. However, according to a study done by the Journal of Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy, they found many people who had anterior pelvic tilt in fact did not have tight hip flexors. So this really shows that it's important that we perform a test to really see if we have these muscle imbalances rather than going with just how we feel or looking at ourselves in the mirror and then trying to correct these imbalances that we, one, might not even have, or two, might even make a problem worse. So let's go into this test. All right, the test we're going to be performing here is commonly used by physical therapists. It's called the Modified Thomas test. I've also seen it called the Kindle test. And what you're going to do is find a firm table. Now, most of us don't have doctor's tables laying around. I'm using a sturdy table with a blanket on top. You could also use a firm mattress to pull this off. Now, the key thing is you want to sit with your hips close enough to the edge where your lower thigh can hang off the edge of the table and your feet can dangle off the edge without touching the floor, okay? You're gonna lay back on the table here. Throughout this entire test, we need to control the pelvic tilt. In fact, a study showed that this is essential for the accuracy of this test. So to prevent this pelvic tilt and have an accurate test, what we're simply gonna do and what you're gonna do here is flatten the lower back into the table here. This is what they use in the test. It helps lock the pelvis into position here. And then we're going to hold this position throughout the entire time during this test. So what you don't want to have happen is while you lift the knee up, you don't want to overly posteriorly tilt, having the hips lift up too much, and you also don't want to open up in the lower back or tilt the hips anteriorly to create a big gap here in the lower back. So just keep it nice and pressed against the table and you're going to be good here. So with this in mind, you're going to lift one of your knees towards your chest. You're going to bring it towards your chest to hit a 90 to 120 degree angle here, okay? And then your opposite leg is going to lay down on the table, relaxed, and you're going to aim for a 80 to 90 degree bend with the knee joint there. And you're just going to be in a very relaxed position. Okay, if you're able to open up this hip, maintain this form here, then this means you're doing good. Your hip flexibility is good, your quad is good. Now, if you pulled your knee back and you notice that your leg is going up, all right, you're not able to relax here, you have this restriction, this means we have some tightnesses we're gonna wanna fix, okay? And it's either in our quad or our hip flexor. And this is what we can do to find out. Simply, if you're finding that restriction, you're gonna straighten your leg or have someone assist to straighten your leg out, and you're going to relax the leg down. If you're able to hit that open hip angle and relax the leg down on the table here, then this means the tightness or restriction was in your quad, and your hip flexor, as you can tell, can open up, and you're good to go. That's good for your hip flexor there. Now, if you straighten your leg out and you still have this restriction here, you're not able to relax the leg down on the table, this means you do in fact have tightness in your hip flexors, and you're going to want to do the stretch that I'm going to share with you. All right, so you took the test, you do have short and tight hip flexors. Now you're gonna wanna implement this awesome stretch here. This stretch I actually picked up from physical therapists Bob Schrupp and Brad Heineck from the Physical Therapy Video YouTube channel. Awesome channel here. I'm gonna leave a link down in the description if you wanna check them out. And this is basically a front lunge that's going to open up this hip flexor and really target the hip flexor here. Now, make sure to get a pillow so you can put underneath your knee, for extra support here. And with the technique, we want to focus on alignment. So make sure your knee's in line with your toe here. It's It's in line with your hip. Same with the back leg. It's in line here. And what we're going to do is make sure to have our chest upright. We don't want to round forward here. We're going to have our chest upright the entire time, and we're going to press our hips forward, okay? And what this is going to do is specifically target the hip flexor. And we're going to hold this for 30 seconds. 30 seconds has been shown in studies to be the optimal for static stretching to getting results. We've also seen that if you're over the age of 60 or 65, 60 seconds could be optimal. So go with how you feel here. 30 seconds will definitely be good. Then after performing the stretch on one leg, you're going to want to make sure to switch and perform it on the other. All right, so start to use that stretch in your daily routine to really open up those hip flexors. And this is a great stretch to target the flexibility with the hip flexor. But one thing we recommend is developing strength and flexibility with all the muscle groups here. So that's why we created the 5-minute flow series here. These are just 5-minute follow-along routines here you can do in home that's going to target all the muscle groups here, developing core strength, glute strength, alleviating tightness in the upper back, low back, and the hips. So this is a fun series of routines here. You can check it out in the description down below and pick that up. Now, as always, train safe. Make sure to leave a comment down below if you want to add to the conversation. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications, and we'll see you in the next one.